Okay, so we're going to write a method that takes a parameter by the reference and changes the value right at the position. So we'll basically just rewrite the method that we already have. So I'll copy this and paste it here and just change what we need to change. So this is our by reference example, and we'll change the name. Oops. And the only thing that really changes is the use of the keyword ref in where you're declaring the type of parameter that you're passing into your method. You just put the keyword ref in front of it, and anything inside stays the same. So then this is the button click. For reference. So inside your button click method, you can just copy it from the previous method that we had and change what we need to change. And let's take the new name of the method that we're calling. There. We're calling it by reference. And when you call the method, even though it's in the method signature, the ref keyword, you also put it when you're passing it in. It has to be present in both places. So now when we run our program, well, actually, let's just have a quick look here at the code. What are we expecting? We have int y is 0, then we're passing it to do it by reference, which assigns the number 1 at the reference position. And so our message box should show the number 1. So we'll give that a whirl. And we get 1. So just to recap what's going on, when you click the button, the reference button, the flow of control jumps to the button click method. And the first thing that happens is an integer int gets declared. So what you end up with is a box y with the number 0 in it because of this line of code. Then the method do it by reference is called. So instead of taking a copy of what's inside y, oops. This part here actually goes and looks for what's inside the address. So it actually takes the value from inside and passes that into the method. So at this point, the flow of control jumps to your do it by reference method, at which point the integer inside y gets changed to a 1. And then the message box is asked to print out y, so it goes looks what's inside y, and it prints out 1. And that's how passing by reference works. Now in our particular example, even though we have written a method that assigns a value to the integer inside the method, we have initialized the value of y. But technically, you may, or in certain situations, you may not actually want your variable to have an initial value. You may want your method to assign the value at an address without any initial value to begin with. Now, if we try to do that here, so we'll delete the initialization, and we try to run our program, we're going to get a build error because it says that there's a use of an unassigned local variable y. The way to get around that is the other special keyword, out. So instead of reference, you would use the word out, and at the time that you're passing it, you would also use the word out. And then if you try to run your program, so y doesn't have an initial value, and you're just allowing your method to assign a value to it. And then we're going to show it up in the message box. So even though our y has no initial value, we are expecting to see the number 1. So that is where the keyword out comes in. It is a way of passing by reference without having to pass in an initialized variable. Whereas if you're doing it by value, obviously you need your variable initialized because you're passing in a copy of a value that's already in existence. So if it's not initialized, that makes no sense. And if you're doing it by reference, the way to get around having to have an initial value is using the keyword out, and then that way that your method will assign a value to your variable. So I hope that helps to clear up passing parameters by reference and by value.